This is sort of my take on a letter to Santa, if you will. Hi guys, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back to the second video in my holiday series, which I started last week with a gift guide and a giveaway. So in case you haven't seen that, make sure to have that video linked up here. But today we'll be sticking to the same topic of gift giving, but take a perhaps more selfish approach, and we'll be chatting about my personal, I would say hypothetical Christmas gift guide. This is sort of my take on a letter to Santa, if you will. Obviously, I'm not expecting every single one of these pieces under the Christmas tree. It's not a list of demands, or is it? So if you want to see a few things that I'm adding to my holiday wish list, and maybe give you some ideas of things that you can do too, then please keep on watching. Let's start with a piece, which is, let's be honest, the only piece in this video that's not from Hermes. It's from a brand that I have been sort of having my ups and downs this year, which is DIOR. Now, you guys have heard me talk about DIOR quite a lot this year, I feel. I made two larger purchases from DIOR this year, other than just smaller ready-to-wear pieces. I purchased the DIOR Remova Personal Clutch collaboration, which I have talked about very, very extensively, which was a bag that I absolutely loved all year. It even made it into my 2020 luxury favorites. But just a couple of weeks ago, something happened that sort of put just a bad taste in my mouth about this bag. So in case you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll make sure to link that video up here. I don't want to repeat myself in case you watched that video, but if you're interested, just so you know, I love that bag all year, and I still do, but something happened that just put me off of it a little bit. And then the other bag that I purchased from DIOR was the DIOR Book Tote in the mini version, which if you watched my unboxing, you know that I had some major quality issues with. Pretty much as soon as I unboxed the bag, right in front of you guys, as I started playing around with it and styling it, I noticed that the bag was fraying all around the edges quite noticeably. So I didn't really know what to do. I wasn't sure if it just happened to mine and I happened to get a faulty piece, a bag that perhaps had been returned and then it was sent to me. So I went to DIOR the next day and I asked them whether they are aware of this issue. Is it even an issue? Is it normal to happen to these bags? And the people at DIOR were amazing. They were really, really nice. And they actually told me that this is something that can actually happen to the DIOR mini book totes because of the way they decided to finish off the bag just to keep it lightweight. Instead of turning back the top and then stitching it down as they do on the regular book totes, on this version, they just sort of use this sort of stitching to finish off the bag, which can actually start fraying. And they showed me two mini DIOR book totes. One that was on display and then one that they essentially brought out from the back, a brand new one. And both of them had the exact same fraying issue. So I didn't feel that there would have been any point of exchanging the bag. I can deal with it because it's a canvas bag, it's not a leather bag. It's not extremely noticeable unless you look really close. But it's still something that I wasn't extremely happy about considering how expensive the bag is. And I wanted to make you aware of that in case you're going to go out there and spend your hard-earned money on a DIOR bag. I just want you to know what you can expect. But I sort of want to give them just one last chance. I want to see whether they can deliver this time. Because I do like their aesthetic. I do like the direction that DIOR is going into. I have to say I am a sucker for all of their collaborations. I know that they are not a great investment, but I still like them here and there. I'm not a particularly trendy person. I'm not someone who jumps on trends. But I like things that are a little bit more special here and there. And because I love Hermes so much, who's known for being classic and timeless, I like to add pieces to my collection, just a touch that are a little bit more relevant. So there is this one piece that DIOR is coming out with, I think they've already come out with it actually, which is the DIOR B27 Sneakers. Now, I made a promise to myself that I will not be buying any more shoes in 2021 because I really am just the kind of person who likes to stick to the same things. I'm a creature of habit. So when I have a pair of shoes that I like and I find comfortable, I wear them until they fall apart. So I am sort of thinking about adding one last pair of shoes to my collection before the new year, because I am trying to stick to not buying any more new shoes next year. And these pair of shoes I quite like. It's definitely something that is a little bit out of my comfort zone. It's a little bit more branded than I like, but there is something to it that is sort of drawing me in. In case you haven't seen the DIOR B27 shoes, they are extremely reminiscent of the recent DIOR and Air Jordan collaboration that they had, which I think sold out so extremely fast. You had to get onto a lottery to be able to get it, and then you either won it, or if you didn't win it, you could reach out to your DIOR SA. And if you had an extensive history and relationship with the brand, I think you had the chance to be offered one. I definitely don't. I'm not a huge DIOR fan. I have pieces here and there in my collection, but I'm definitely not the kind of person who would have a rapport with DIOR that's good enough that I could just go up to the store and be like, hey, can you give me one of these super highly coveted shoes that I think they said they made 8,000 of, which sounds like a very small number considering how many you can already see on the resale market. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I'm not a big Nike person. I'm not a sneakerhead. I don't know much about sneakers, but I quite like the shape. I like the colors that they used. I like that it featured a little bit of the DIOR oblique, which is not something that you often see on DIOR menswear. And it didn't take DIOR long to essentially come out with a ripoff of their own design, because they launched a really, really similar pair of shoes to the Air Jordan ones, which are these B27 sneakers. And I think these are supposed to become a permanent part of the DIOR portfolio. I think they'll be launching these over and over again, as Kim Jones has been doing with the saddlebag and a couple of designs. So I think this is not something that is going to sell out and is never going to be around again. This is something that they'll keep releasing in different variations, which is sort of putting me off of them a little bit, because I'm afraid that it's going to become one of those DIOR like high top Converse sneakers. I call them the DIOR Converse collaboration, which it's not. It was a pair of DIOR shoes in the men's collection, but they did look like Converse sneakers, just with the oblique print. And I actually quite like those, but every single person and their dog started buying them, which kind of put me off of them. And I'm afraid that this is going to happen to these sneakers as well. So we'll have to see, but I'm hoping that I can jump on them soon enough that I can enjoy them sort of before they become oversaturated, but we'll see. One thing for sure is that they are very reminiscent of the DIOR Air Jordan sneakers. If anything, the B27s I find to be a little bit more flattering, as they are not as chunky. The sole seems to be just a little bit more streamlined, which I personally really enjoy. There are 3 colors that they come in. They are available in black, in like a white, off-white color, and then in gray. I'm going back and forth between the black and the gray. We'll see which ones I can get my hands on, but it's definitely something that is on my wish list for the holiday season. As you probably expected, I do have quite a few Hermes pieces on this wish list, but I thought we would start with one that I've been thinking about for the past year, and I'm still not sure if this is the right time for me to add this to my collection. But it's something that has been on my mind. And if you've been with me a while, you know that I absolutely love Hermes Homeware. I have pieces from, I think, every single one of their ranges within the homeware section. So I have a couple pieces of furniture. I have some textile pieces. I have definitely quite a few objects, which are essentially pieces that you have around the home. But one category that I haven't dabbled in is their lighting. Now, the main reason is because their lighting is ridiculously expensive. I mean, I would argue that their lighting pieces are probably more overpriced than their actual furniture, but their lighting is truly innovative and unique. And I would love to add either one of the Hermes lighting pieces to my collection, or a lighting piece from Saint Louis, which is a brand that is owned by Hermes. Saint Louis pieces mainly specialize in glasses, so on their lighting pieces, it's mainly the glass that they play around with, whereas with the Hermes pieces, it's more about the structure and the innovation of the just the overall aesthetic and appearance of the pieces. But there has been this one piece that I've been seeing around quite a lot in Hermes stores, which I believe is called the Harnais bedside table. I think the one that I'm interested in is the bedside table size, which is this really simplistic, but sort of, I would actually call this a futuristic lamp structure. It has this beautiful milky frosted glass lampshade that is attached to the frame with the clou de sel buttons, which is a reoccurring theme and emblem of the brand. It has this really interesting sort of equestrian frame to and stand to the lampshade. The entire thing is covered in one of their heritage leathers, and the leather is actually attached to the frame with the iconic Hermes saddle stitching. So it not only features the Hermes leather, but also their quintessential saddle stitching. You do get this little tray, like trinket holder or jewelry tray at the bottom of the lamp. So you essentially get a 2-in-1. What a great deal. And then to make it even more luxurious, the cord that you use to plug it into the wall is also covered in leather, which is just the icing on the cake. It's just such a beautiful piece. As you would expect, it's ridiculously priced, but it is something that I would love to add to my collection. I mean, if I could just write a letter to Santa and if this would appear, I would be more than delighted. But it's definitely something that I would love to add to my collection down the line, and if it's not going to be this Christmas, maybe next year. But either a sunlight lighting piece or this one from Hermes is definitely something that I have on my mind. The next piece is also from Hermes, but this time it's from their fine jewelry range, which is not something that I have a crazy collection in. I do have quite a few of their rings, and I have a couple bracelets, but one piece that I don't own from the brand is necklaces. I have one Hermes necklace, but it's from their fashion jewelry range, not from their fine jewelry pieces. So it's definitely something that I would love to add to my collection. And it is something that I have been trying to add to my collection for the past couple of years. But one thing about their more simple necklaces, the ones that come on the chain with some sort of pendant, is that they are extremely short. I think the longest that you can make them is 16 inches, which a 16-inch chain on me sits right up here, so it essentially looks like a choker, which is not the look that I'm going for. So I would probably have to do an 18 or maybe even a 20-inch chain, which means that I essentially have to buy the necklace from Hermes, take it to a jeweler, have them take it apart, add a completely new chain to it, or add some sort of extension so I can wear it in a way that I would like to. Obviously, Hermes does have longer necklaces, but that's not really the look that I'm going for. For example, the Shandong or the longer Kelly necklace are something that you can sort of twist and then make them a little bit shorter and double them up. I think they're absolutely stunning, but they are definitely not for me. So I have been trying, I didn't even know how many times, the Birkin, the Constance, and the Kelly little pendants, the diamond pendants, which I like, but I don't know if I want to have a bag around my neck. But there is one collection that is just so near and dear to me, which is the Finesse collection. I purchased, I think, a Shandong and a Punk bracelet from the brand quite a few years ago. And I noticed that they have this really interesting closure mechanism, which to me is very much equestrian inspired. It's sort of a gold ring and a gold bar that you're supposed to slide through the ring. And when you slide the bar through the ring and let it go, you realize that the bar is actually longer than the circle itself. So it will not let the bracelet come apart, which I'm sure is not the best and most accurate explanation of this mechanism, but I hope you know what I mean. And I noticed this mechanism on my bracelets quite early on, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I could definitely see the sort of equestrian and harness making inspiration that this closure might have had. So what I used to do is I actually used to turn my bracelets apart, and I used to wear the closure on the outside because I just loved the look. It was really simple, but still very elegant and refined. And lo and behold, Hermes came out with an entire collection that was inspired by the mechanism and featured nothing else but this sort of round ring mechanism. And it is called the Finesse collection. Since then, they introduced sort of a different take on this, which is a little bit more rounded. I'll make sure to leave the name up here but I still prefer the finesse. I think it's just a little bit more streamlined. And they have a couple of rings, they have a pair of earrings in this collection, but my favorite has to be the necklace, mainly because that's a piece that I don't have from the brand. It comes in white gold with white diamonds, rose gold with white diamonds, and then it also comes in the so-called black to light edition, which are pieces that are made of rose gold, but instead of white stones, they actually use black stones in these. For the longest time, I thought that they used black diamonds in these pieces, but I realized that they actually don't. Last year, I was told at Hermes that they actually use something called black spinel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is sort of similar to black diamonds, but it's a completely different stone. I tried to do some research to figure out the difference and verify what I was told at Hermes. But what they told me at Hermes is that the reason why they use black spinel is because the way the stone is acquired and then treated and the way it goes through post-production, it requires much less sort of dyeing and additional treatment than black diamonds do. Black spinels are supposed to have a much more saturated and deeper black color to them naturally than black diamonds do. And that's the reason why Hermes chose to go with that stone instead of black diamonds. Now, I could not verify this. I did quite a bit of reading on black spinel back when I first heard this story, and I couldn't find anything that would confirm this. If you are familiar with gemstones and if you're a jeweler perhaps, then maybe you can let us know what you think about this, but this is what I was told. What I was able to find, however, is black spinel is reasonably less expensive on the raw materials market than black diamonds are, but regardless, I love the look. And I'm sort of going back and forth between getting the necklace in rose gold with white diamonds or in rose gold with the black spinel. And that's because I absolutely love the color black. That's really what my collection and my wardrobe mainly consists of. So I thought it would be quite special to also have a fine jewelry piece that for a change features black stones. I thought it would be quite special. But I would love to know what you think. Do you prefer the rose gold with the white stones or the rose gold with the black stones? I think they're both stunning. I also love the white gold version, but I'm not really a white gold person. So it's definitely a piece that I have been thinking about. One thing that I have to come to terms with is the fact that I will have to take it to my own jeweler, and I will either have to ask them to completely take it apart and attach a new chain to it, or I will have to buy some sort of chain extension and then add it to the back just so I can wear it with the right length. But it is a piece that has been on my mind, and I think it would be a nice extension and addition to my collection, considering it's a piece that I really don't have. And last but not least, a bag that I talked about in my luxury wish list for 2020 video is something that I will also move on to my holiday wish list, which is the Constance 18. It is a bag that has been on my mind for the past, I think, few months. Obviously, 2020 hasn't been the best year for luxury fashion, considering that most of us couldn't get to stores, and then I have just recently relocated, which meant that I had to start shopping at a new store and essentially start building a new rapport with a new store from the ground up. But it's still a bag that is on my mind and on my radar. Now, what makes it a little bit more difficult for me and what stopped me from buying this earlier in the year is the fact that I have very specific requests. I would only be interested in this bag in black Epsom with either gold or rose gold hardware, although I would consider palladium, but only black Epsom. I'm not open to color and I'm not open to any other leathers, which obviously means that it's going to be a little bit more of a waiting game than if you're just open to colors. I have purchased this bag in size 24, which is definitely not a size that I would recommend or I would go for, especially because I would like to carry this. This is a bag that I would use as sort of a more just effortless and casual bag that I could wear across body. I wouldn't have to worry about holding on to it and sanitizing my hand and worry about touching leather. Whereas size 24 is something that doesn't look best cross body. It's a little too bulky. It almost looks like a briefcase when you put it over your shoulders. I don't think it's the best when worn crossbody, whereas 18, I think the size is just perfect for that. But yeah, we'll have to see. It's definitely something that I'm still thinking about and it's still on my wish list. And obviously I would love nothing more than to find it under the Christmas tree this year. And this is it, guys. This completes today's video on my holiday wish list. Please let me know in the comments what things you have on your holiday wish list. Is there anything you're lusting after? Is there anything you're planning on treating yourself to? I would love to know. And in case you haven't had a chance to check out my last holiday themed video, then make sure you go back and check that out, because I am doing a giveaway with a 7RP insert. So if that's a brand that you've always been interested in, then make sure you enter the giveaway. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.